Brendan Foster with me, and Saïd Aouita going for a world record. Is it on, do you reckon?
Well, I mean, people get excited after they saw him in the Olympics, and I think he's capable of running under 13 minutes. But to break the world record, you know, we shouldn't just throw it around as easily as that, because Dave's world record was one of the great runs in history, and there's only Aouita's the only one who's ever challenged it. But to break the world record, he's got to be right. The conditions have got to be right. The pacemaking has got to be right, and he's got to be on his best form. And he's had some problems with injury. As we can see now, they're warming up and lining up for the start. But only time will tell. But don't let's throw it around too easily, David.
Okay, well, there's our man, and let's go live back to the Bislett Stadium and David Coleman.
There's the Olympic champion, Aouita, wearing number 51, and the man who's favoured to break David Moorcroft's world record. But words of wisdom there from Brendan Foster, because it's not going to be easy. It's absolutely pouring down here at the moment, and in the course of the 5,000 metres, I would think this Bislett track may well be flooded before they finish it. But having said that, the rain is really very heavy, but at the same time the wind has stopped entirely. As the rain came, the wind dropped, and it's very, very still in the stadium at the moment. And of course, if the rain is not too heavy and the track doesn't get too flooded, well, the conditions may not be too bad for a distance race. Aouita, though, has been having problems. Second fastest man in history, but he's got trouble with his legs. Apparently, he's got tendinitis, we're told, although his coach, Dionisi from Italy, was pointing to his calf earlier in the day and saying his problem was the calf. But we've heard since it's tendinitis. 12.5 laps of the track, the 5,000 metres. Nat Muir there and steady in the headband. Just name one or two of the British competitors for you. There's Nat Muir from Shettleston Harriers in Scotland, and Carl Harrison from Stretford near Manchester. 287 there as the expected pacemaker, Peter Renner of New Zealand. New Zealand steeplechase champion. Sub 4 minute miler. And 11th in the Olympic Games in Los Angeles in that event. Coming around with 12 to go. And we're told that he's hoping to take them along at a pace that will lead them through 3,000 metres in about 7 minutes 50 seconds. And in fact, the world record target is 12 minutes 55, which if they achieve it, or Aouita achieves it, because surely he's the only one on the field capable of doing that, well, that will be a massive 5 seconds off David Moorcroft's world record, which was set on this track in 1982 at 13 minutes 00.41. Well, David Moorcroft is sitting back in the studio, watching and suffering. But I have the feeling, David, that it's very early days indeed. That first lap, by the way, running 62 seconds, so it's smack on schedule, the schedule they wanted. But I have a slight feeling that your world record will be safe tonight.
Well, I guess it's a little bit early to tell at the moment, but one thing's for certain, Saïd needs a fast pace through that first 3,000 metres. You cannot afford to be anything much more slower than maybe 7:52. But I know that Peter Renner is in there to set the pace, and he's well capable of running certainly under 8 minutes. But at the moment, I mean, Aouita looks reasonably comfortable, but he's thrashing his arms around a little bit. He's well capable of breaking it, there's no doubt about that. I think occasionally the world throws up phenomenal athletes, and he is one. But as Brendan said, the circumstances, the conditions need to be perfect, and he needs to be perfect. And we should get a fair indication after the first mile as to whether he's really on for it tonight.
Well, that's right. He's going to be taken through the mile about record pace. But I think the real doubt we have in our minds here, having moved around and talked to some of the athletes, is that Aouita has self-doubt himself. And that's happened rarely before, because he's not the most experienced athlete in the world, as we saw in the World Championships in '83. But by '84, he had come through considerably when he won the Olympic Games. But he has got this worry in his mind about that left leg. And apparently his coach says, like most athletes, he's gone out training when he shouldn't have done. He's laid off for a couple of days in the last fortnight, then gone out too soon, and the leg injury has recurred. So mentally, David, it's not the best possible preparation.
No, it isn't. We're all very good at giving each other advice on when not to train when you're injured, but we're lousy ourselves at taking it. And if he has gone out and trained on a bad leg, then it would be to his detriment. But having said that, as you know, David, most of us are injured anyway all the time. So we tend to spend most of our lives being injured. But he is a phenomenal athlete. You mentioned his lack of experience. But in the Olympics last year, moving up to 5,000 metres from 1,500, he did really what was impossible. That was to race 3 times and to break what was a very good Olympic record held by Brendan and win the gold medal. But unfortunately, somebody forgot to tell him it was impossible, and he did it.
Yes, I've just got his back-to-back times in front of me in the Olympic Games. 13:45 in the first round, and the semi-final 13:28, and then 13:5, his third race in 4 days in the final. And that just emphasises his talent. And certainly, as a result of his world champion experience of 1,500 metres, by the time he came to 5 last year, he was a much more mature athlete, wasn't he?
Yes, he was. We were talking earlier on, Brendan and I, and we were saying that he did actually have the credentials of a long-distance runner before he even ran 1,500 metres in Helsinki. He was well known as a junior cross-country runner. In fact, I think he finished well up in the World Junior Cross-Country Championships around about the time Nat Muir won it. So he's got the credentials of a long-distance runner. He's obviously got the speed. We'll find out today whether he can put it all together on the right night.
Well, just looking at the opening 3 laps, 62, 64, 63, and so they were around 3 laps in 3 minutes 9 seconds. A word from Brendan Foster in just a moment as they complete 4 laps. It's Renner leading, aouita in second place at the moment. Maminski, by the way, the Polish steeplechase, was up in the first 6. Also there is Russo of Belgium, tucked in there on the curb. It looks like Gonzalez of Spain, wearing number 62. In fact, when David suggested that aouita was flapping his arms about, I think he was gently easing Gonzalez out of his stride pattern. So as they come round with 8 laps to go, it's Renner New Zealand leading, aouita in second place for Morocco, in third place Gonzalez of Spain, in fourth place Russo of Belgium, and in fifth place, wearing number 97, Ray Fryn of Ireland. Brendan, it does look to me as if they're really just a little bit outside the world record pace. The pace has slowed a little bit, I think, on this lap, but also the rain has stopped and there's very little wind in the stadium, so conditions aren't bad.
Well, they went through 4 laps from this end. It looked like about 4:12, which is a shade slow. I'd rather be a little bit faster than that if that record's going to come into serious contention. And like you said in your initial comments, if he's got self-doubt, then that's the only thing that matters, because if he's got self-doubt in himself, and when this event starts hurting, because 5,000 metres, doesn't matter how quick you run it, it still hurts. It doesn't matter how slow you run it either, it still hurts. And if Saïd aouita is worried about his injury and is not as confident as we've seen him in the past, then that record will go out the window. He won't have any chance of it.
I must say, as you're talking, Brendan, I've just been doing a bit of checking, and it seems to me that he's running to win. Renner has just gone off the track, and aouita's left in front. But on the last check, after 5 laps, we made him just 3 seconds inside of 13:20 pace. So it looks to me as if David Moorcroft will be still the world record holder tonight. It's Gonzalez in second place at the moment. And aouita has really started to stretch them out a little bit. The lap timings were 62 on the first lap, 64, 63, 63, 65, and then Renner dropped out. So really, he's not done the pace-making job, Brendan, we expected, or that was expected of him either.
One advantage I had when I broke the world record in some ways was at this point I was actually out on my own and running freely. It looks as if Saïd now is beginning to move away from the field, and despite the fact it is nice to have a pacemaker, when you've got so many others behind you, it creates a bit of pressure in itself. So in many respects, if he can get away from the field in these next couple of laps, he can then concentrate on the business of running fast, rather than as he is at the moment having to concentrate on the business of winning.
Well, I think that's what he's doing at the moment. He's really kicking quite hard, but I think the world record's way beyond even his reach at the moment. I can't see it's going to happen tonight. It's aouita out in front, Gonzalez in second place at the moment, Ray Flynn of Ireland is third, Neno of America 4, and Bigfoot of America in fifth place. A word now from Ron Pickering.
Just to say, David, if you're listening out, by this time you were knocking out 62-second laps like a metronome, and you had a nice sunny, dry evening, and I don't think he looks anywhere near as good as you looked on that night, which will long live in my memory. But just to reinforce what a quality athlete he is, I think I'm right in saying he's the only man in the world that's headed both the 5,000 and the 1,500 metre world rankings at the end of one season, and that was last year. And when you look at his best times ever for all the distances, 22.8 for 200 metres, 46.9 for 400, 144.38 for 800, and it goes on right through that. A 3:49 miler and a 13:04 5,000 metre runner. That's the reason why we centre our attention on him, and why I suppose your record must be vulnerable to him someday. But I don't think that day is tonight.
Aouita actually on the last lap really speeded up, and he's gone away from Gonzalez now by about some 20 to 25 metres. Gonzalez in blue wearing 62, the second in the Spanish cross-country championship this year. He's the holder of the Spanish 3,000 metre record at 7:45. But Aouita very, very difficult to live with. The pace at the moment, he's done 2:62s in the last 2 laps, so he's dragged it back now to something around 13:14 as of this moment. And he's speeding up all the time. Does look very impressive indeed. And in the right sort of race, well, David Moorcroft's world record could be in grave danger. Gonzalez in second place, Neno of America third, Bickford America in fourth place, Ray Flynn of Ireland 5. Maminsky's lost his place, now in sixth place. And going through at the moment is Don Henderson. Dan Henderson, rather, United States, with Maminsky back in seventh place. Aouita is fairly bouncing along, and we've had one or two of the questions answered about this new track. This, very much the home of world record breaking. 42 world records set, 29 in track events on this Bislett surface, but, of course, the track has been relayed during the winter, and to some of the athletes warming up tonight, they said they felt it was a bit softer than the old track, but it certainly appears to be just as fast. And Aouita, David, has just gone in the last 3 laps 62, 62, 63, and that's damaging in anybody's language.
Well, that's great 5,000 metre running. He had to try and average 62.5 to break the record, but we now know that he's got to run something close to 4 minutes for the last mile, or 3 minutes for the last 3 laps now, which I guess is possible, but maybe a little bit unlikely. One advantage, again, a lot has been said about the build-up towards him breaking this record. He's already the Olympic champion, which is probably the greatest achievement anyone can even ever hope for. But the more you think about and try and set up records, in many respects, the worse it gets. On the night I broke the record, it was the last thing in my mind, and I ran freely, and I ran, possibly naively. I just ran fast, and it came without even thinking about it. But I get the impression, with world records, that the more you think about it, the worse it actually becomes. And often the best races are the ones that have the greatest spontaneity.
Well, he's just run a 64-second lap while you were talking. I do agree with you, though. When world records come in that way, they seem to come fairly easily and without the pressure. But Aouita's got no sort of pressure here now, apart from the pre-race build-up. And certainly he may well have been too cautious during the race itself in not taking over from Renner sooner. But having said that, he must have had the doubts in his mind about his leg. He's got 2 laps to go now. And he's on schedule now for something in the region of 13:10, but speeding up all the time. And he's really dragged the pace back from something inside 13:20 now to something that will certainly look to be inside 13:10, which will be the fastest time in the world this year. But surely he can't pull out anything that will get anywhere near David Moorcroft's world record. He's got some 50 metres to spare. Bickford in second place for America, in third place is Gonzalez, fourth is Neno of America, in fifth place Rousseau of Belgium, sixth is Henderson America, and Maminsky, by the way, who was expected to be something of a threat in this, certainly expected to be with the pace, is back in about 10th place. Saïd Aouita working so hard now as he approaches the bell. Another 62-second lap he ran. So his last 5 laps have gone 62, 62, 63, 64, 62. And he's accelerating now all the time. A gradual build-up as Bickford goes through in second place. Gonzalez of Spain third, Neno America 4. In fifth place, Rousseau. Sixth is Nat Muir. And in seventh place is Danens of Belgium. This, still after that comparatively sedate start, looks like being one of the most impressive 5,000 metre runs we've seen, because really over the last few laps when he's been by himself, he's been building up pace with every stride. Just the clock to run against. The crowd alone can help him as he fairly flies down the home straight The time 12:54, 55, 56, 57, and he's going to miss the world record. But he leaves a message behind that David Moorcroft's world record is in grave danger. 13:4:52, the second fastest time in history. Only David Moorcroft has run faster. Bickford in second place, Gonzalez of Spain third. In fourth place, Danens of Belgium. 5 is Nat Muir of Great Britain. In sixth place, Neno of America. And seventh, just behind him, was Danens of Belgium. Well, watching this, we